Okay, let's clap it up, clap it up. All right. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is history class, ISUPK Baltimore. Out of 1 West 125th Street, under commanding General Yohana. This is history class. We're gonna get into a little bit of history tonight, you know. A lot of our brothers and sisters, we've been on these shores of America for close to 500 years, just about. You understand? And we all know that we came here on these slave ships by way of slave ship. You understand? And in 1863, a lot of us think we got freed from slavery. You understand? But our oppressor is a devious oppressor. He is the devil that the Bible speaks of. You understand this, right? Understand what emancipated means. Emancipated to or to be emancipated means to be turned over from being private property into state property. You understand? So when we were emancipating, we also got to remember too, right? The people that were emancipated were the slaves that were in the South. It had nothing to do with the slaves in the North. You understand? Slaves in the South. And the reason why they were brought upon emancipation because Abraham Lincoln wanted to keep the Union together. It had nothing to do with freeing people. Had nothing to do with freeing slaves. You understand? And we get it misconstrued, and we think that it was all about freeing us and giving us our independence. As we can see today, we have no independence. You understand? And when we look at slavery today, we got to look at it with a keen eye. When I say with a keen eye, we have to understand what slavery looks like today. Our oppressor has morphed slavery. He has morphed slavery into mass incarceration. And when we look at mass incarceration, we look as though we did this to ourselves, but this is a creative way that our oppressor kept slavery going. You understand? Slavery or mass incarceration was a trick of the devil. You understand? It was a trick of the devil, and it tricked us because we got a lot of brothers and sisters that actually think that we are free today. And I always ask this question: if we are free today, why can't a brother or sister speak out and tell how he feels? How can someone tell you you can't say this or you can't say that? Think about the billionaires, the so-called black billionaires that we have. As soon as one of those black billionaires speak out, what happens? They are put back into their place. Look at Kanye West. You understand? Look at Kyrie Irving. Look at Nick Cannon. As soon as these brothers speak up, what happens? They cancel them until they submit, until they put that knee on their neck, just like, what's his name? Chauvin did George Floyd. You understand? Basically, is what it is. We succumb to our oppressor. You understand? And mass incarceration is what slavery is today. You understand? And with the threat of mass incarceration, it keeps the other slaves in line. You understand? I got an article here I want to read today. We're gonna go through it. It's an article by News America. It's called "Mass Incarceration in the U.S." You understand? The U.S. has the largest population of incarcerated individuals and the highest imprisonment rate in the world. Now think about this, right? What is that? Is that China, who has over 1 billion people? Over 1 billion people in their nation. We are not even half of that. You understand? Or maybe we might be half of that. You understand? But for us to have the highest incarceration rate, not only do we have the highest incarceration rate, but we have a highest incarceration rate among the biggest nations. You understand? And some of those nations combined, our incarceration rate is still greater. Incarceration for America is only capitalism. America makes money off of us being incarcerated. Slavery, when slavery came, it was a capitalist system. It was a way for America to make money. And now we have to go back and we have to remember this. Remember, they had the land grab back when the oppressor took over America. You understand? The land grab was when they allowed Europeans to come over and you could put stakes down and grab as much land as you wanted. Now, remember this, because our oppressor does not like to work by nature, because our oppressor does not like to do what they do, that land had no meaning. So it did nothing for them unless they put a slave on that land. Land had no value, the slave did. You understand? So it wasn't they that's this is the reason why they could give away 400 and 500 acres of land for free. Because you take that land and you didn't want to do anything with it, but if you put a slave on it, now that land has value. That land has some kind of value now because now you have someone who knows how to work that land. Remember when the oppressor came here, the oppressor did not know how to survive, and our brothers, the Gadites, helped them to survive. After the Gadites helped them to survive, they figured, well, since they helped us survive, we could kill them and take that land that they had. But guess what? They still couldn't survive. So what did they do? They brought us over here. You understand? Had a land grab, let the Europeans come over and grab as much land, and then sold us off to them as equipment. Basically, was what that was. You understand? All right, let's get back to this article. By the end of 2015, approximately 7 million individuals were under supervision of the U.S. adult correction system. Now, listen, like I said, this is a this is a business. You understand? Mass incarceration is a business. And we have to understand every step of America has been plotted out by our oppressor. From slavery all the way up into the emancipation, the creation of the black codes, the Jim Crow laws, and each succeeding president coming in and having their what do they call it? They got an international mandate, and they got a what they call it, an international mandate and a local mandate. You understand? They have international things they have to do internationally, lands that they have to take over that's not in the United States. Just like we see they have Hawaii in captivity, they have Puerto Rico in captivity. What is that? Alaska too? Because Alaska is a part of the United States, right? That's an international mandate to go into another country to destabilize another country and to take over and put a democratic or a democracy in that country. That's an international mandate. Go ahead, sir. This is why, and exactly, this is the reason why Russia was pissed because the United States was trying to put a democracy in Ukraine, and this is the reason why that battle is going on right now. What's sir? Alongside of NATO, of course. NATO and the U.S. is trying to right, and then exactly, and then you get Ukraine to be a part of NATO, then you get to put nuclear weapons on Russia's doorstep. You understand? And then you become a partial controller of Russia's actions. You understand? And this is the reason why Russia destroyed their own country. You understand? Or are at war with themselves. You understand? Because Ukrainians are nothing but Russians. They speak Russian. They do everything Russian. They write Russian. You understand? So it's just a family fighting itself. That's it. You understand? Uh, with that, you understand. This is how America operates. So each step that America takes is a step for the future. And when they emancipated the slaves of America, they laid down those black codes. They laid down those Jim Crow laws. You understand? And they created other laws. Even when I was growing up in the early '80s, they had that, or the late '80s into the early '90s, they had that stop and frisk. Police would stop us regardless and say, "You understand where you going at, what you doing?" I heard, and then they would give us the line. we had a call at somebody and it looked like you and they could pat you down and do anything. You understand? We had a lot of brothers that got robbed by police like that. You understand? And this creates the chaos that America needs to mass incarcerate us. You understand what I'm saying? And also in those 80s, Ronald Reagan brought those drugs and dropped those drugs into our neighborhoods. This is where the crack epidemic came from. You had Ronald Reagan having a war on drugs, Nancy Reagan saying, say no to drugs, but then they're forcing these drugs into our communities. And this is how you destabilize a people. And then this is how you force a people into mass incarceration. So we went from slavery to mass incarceration, which both of them are the same because they're doing the same things to us that they did in slavery, and they're making that same capital off of us that they did in slavery. Understand? Let's go. U.S. adult incarceration system, including federal prisons and state prisons and local county jails and probation and parole. If you know you've been on probation and parole, you know a lot of times they put you on probation and parole for what? 5, 10 years, because they know within that amount of time, especially if your record is not clean enough for you to get a good job or a job to sustain yourself, that forces you back out on the street to do evil, to do their evil. So if I put you in a trick bag like that and I drop drugs into your neighborhood, knowing that you can't get a good job, then I know 9 times out of 10, you may turn to that drug that I dropped into your neighborhood to try to sustain yourself. Now I know I can jack and trick you and have you into my incarceration system, right? Go ahead.
One of Exodus, he said, "Come, let us build wisely."
Come, let us do wisely. We'll pull that. On top of that, now I want to go back just a little bit. I want to go back to 1865. We got to understand something because we like to think that everybody is our friend. You understand? Remember when your mama, when you was growing up, your mama used to tell you everybody is not your friend. Us as a nation, as Israel, we have to understand that everybody is not our friend. The only friends we have are the 12 tribes of Israel. And we have to come from an understanding of history, right? In history, it says in 1865, 98% of all whites in America was opposed to freeing blacks from slavery. Think about that, 98%, right? 98%. The people who were against slavery did not have the power to free us. If you look at the civil rights movement, right? Think about some of the oppressors that decided to be on the side of the civil rights movement. I'm not talking about the ones who ran the civil rights movement because they had the power to do exactly what they were doing. You understand what I'm saying? But we're talking about the people who really sincerely and were genuine about being a part of the civil rights movement. You understand what I'm saying? Those people had no power to free us. Those people had no power to change our condition. If so, if they did, what happened? Look at us today. Civil rights did nothing for black people, right? But every other nation of people that come over here, civil rights helped to the 100th power. Go ahead. Go ahead. Let me make sure I get that first. Psalms. Read it. What it call it out again?
Psalm 83:2.
Okay, read that.
Say, below thy enemies make a tumult.
Listen, check this out, right? Below thy enemies make a tumult. What does that mean? Make a noise, they make an uprising. Listen, when we speak up, when we out there on the streets, what do our enemies do? What does the oppressor do? They make a tumult. They make a noise. They speak up. You understand? They speak against what we're doing. They raise a commotion. You understand? Because they know what we're doing is the truth. They know what we're speaking is the truth. Read on.
And they that hate me have lifted up the head.
Read on.
They have taken crafty counsel.
Say that again.
They have taken crafty counsel.
One more time.
Crafty counsel.
Listen, they take crafty counsel. Crafty counsel is the Emancipation Proclamation. That's crafty counsel. They sit back and they think about how can I keep these people? How can I keep them under the thumb? They created the Emancipation Proclamation. They make you think that you're free. And then they create a law called the Black Code that says if you're found without an ID, if you're found without a dollar in your pocket, if you don't have a job, you understand? When the police walk up on you, what's the first thing they ask you for? And if you don't have an ID, what happens? I'm gonna have to detain you. You understand? These are the laws that have been created. Now I want to take a step back. Let's go back to 1638. Let's go back to the doctrine of exclusion. You understand? The doctrine of exclusion clearly states, and this is the Maryland doctrine of exclusion. This is where it started. You understand? It clearly states that no slave, descendant of a slave, or black person shall enjoy the fruits of white society. Look at where we stand today. Now that's a law that has been on the books since 1638, right? Each colony took that law and expounded upon that law. You understand what I'm saying? These are laws that they create to keep us incarcerated. These are laws that they create to keep us under their thumb. Now, if you don't own any land, you don't own any stores, you don't control anything in your community, what are the chances are that you're going to grow to be a strong nation? What are the chances? It's zero, exactly. You understand? Listen, this is a cunning oppressor that we are under. When you think, what am I going to do the next day? They're thinking, what am I going to do 20 years from today? We always think we're a step ahead when we're about 30 paces behind. You understand? When you deal with the oppressor, we have to know who we're dealing with. You understand? This is why the place that every brother and sister needs to be is right here in the ISUPK under Commanding General Yohana. You understand? Because this is where we get true understanding, because a lot of us don't understand the beast that we're under. Out here and we vote thinking we're going to make a difference. All we got to do is get out here and vote. How many times have you heard grandmothers and grandfathers say, well, did you vote? Did you vote? And they say, yeah. And what has changed? You understand what I'm saying? Think about this. How many brothers and sisters went out there and voted for Obama that first time? And I have to raise my hand. You understand? I was a fool at the time, but I have to raise my hand in truth because I thought there was going to be a change. Look at us today, after Obama, after Trump, into Biden. What has changed? This oppressor is a cunning oppressor. You understand? And we can't let the oppressor train us in how we think. Because when we follow the oppressor and allow the oppressor to train us in thinking, we're going to continue to vote. We're going to continue to go to them town hall meetings and stand up and say, well, when are we going to get? As opposed to what does Zephaniah 2:1 say? Gather yourself together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. The first thing we have to do is we have to understand that we are a nation of people that are not desired, because that's what destroys us at most. We think that every other nation out here is okay with us. We think that everybody is all love. We have to understand first that we are a nation of people that are not desired. Once you understand that, then you understand that, all right, since we are not desired, then we got to get ourselves together. I got to come back to my brothers and sisters, because if these people out here don't desire me, then I have to desire my own people and come back together with my own people. This is what we about. You understand what I'm saying? So when we speak, when we say that, now we can understand, what's going on. Now we stepping outside and looking at the full picture. Because when you inside the oppressor's world, you only get a pinpoint view. Like we got blinders on when you standing inside the world of the oppressor. You got to step outside of the oppressor's world to get a view of the whole picture. And that's what destroys us most, because a lot of us don't have that view. A lot of us think this is a, 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 um, a big melting pot. You understand? I heard people say, even up to recent, I heard people say, well, we put ourselves in this condition. I had to ask how. You understand? Well, we didn't do this and we didn't take the opportunity. Understand something, right? When you see a LeBron James, when you see a Michael Jordan, when you see a Charles Barkley, or you see a singer, you see an actor, or you see somebody who's making it, they have been chosen. Why have they been chosen? Somebody tell me, why have they been chosen? Why have they been chosen?
Why have the other nations been chosen?
No, no. When you see actors and singers and you see them people stand up there and say, you ever seen somebody cry and say, look, it took me this and I did this and I come up from this and I came up. Why do they do that? Why is that? It's a simple answer. Go. You got not that. Of course, they not desired, but why do you think about this, right? When you see that millionaire or billionaire, and they said, I started out, I was a single family home. I come from a single family home. I had to wear the same shoes for 2 years straight. My mother only had one pair of shoes. My mother had to work 3 jobs. We've heard that story, right? Why do when we see these millionaires and billionaires, why do we hear that story? We all went through it. That's true, right? But it's listen. Remember now, when I ask you that, now we got to think like the oppressor. Now I'm gonna give it to you, right?
Oh, I got it. So,
Go ahead.
Because he made it. In his mind, he think he made it.
He think he made it. You right? But it's more something more at the peak.
Is it like to give other people false hope?
There you go, right there. Listen, understand this, right? Sis got it right. Listen, when we see these stories on TV, what the oppressor does is points at them and says, if he did it, you can do it. You understand what I'm saying? So it's nobody holding you back. You're holding yourself back. If he did it, you can do it. Pull yourself up by your own bootstrap. Go ahead, sir.
Like you mentioned earlier, a lot of them big headed Negroes in the churches and schools, they were saying that the young black folk, when Obama got them,
Right.
they was looking down on them and see, it ain't the system. It's you.
It's you.
It's you. It wasn't encouraging them
Right.
to be better. It was blaming them for what's around them.
Exactly. And then they see a heathen come in, not understanding that heathen is not us on either side, his mother's side or his father's side. And they use him and say, if he can do it, you can do it. Listen, if Ben Carson can come up from his mother using food stamps and on welfare, and he can become a great brain surgeon, then surely you can go to school and get an education and be somebody. You understand? These are the ploys that our oppressor uses. You understand? Go ahead, finish reading that.
Hey, verse 4 in Psalms 83. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation.
Listen, they said, come and let us cut them off. Listen, a part of that is they break us up and say, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. Break us up, take our history, our name, our laws, our statutes, our moral compass. Look at what they're doing to us. They have said, come and let us cut them off. From what?
From being a nation.
From what?
Being a nation.
Listen, let us cut them off from being a nation. Let us cut them off from what the Most High created them to be. Let us cut them off from being a nation. A lot of us look at ourselves today and we think we are American. Oh, I'm African. I'm from I'm from the great continent, what they call the motherland. I'm from the what they call it, the cradle of life. We like to use them old blackety black terms. You understand, the cradle of life. I ain't never liked that from the beginning, even before I came into the truth. The cradle of life, yo. Tell me where I'm from. And this is the reason why we are destroyed as a people, because you can listen, you got 50.
Black folk would say
Yeah,
nobody else call that the motherland.
right. Nobody else calls that the motherland.
Call Poland
Right.
the motherland, or
Right.
Italy, or whatever.
Listen, everybody can trace back to their history but us. Now you got 50 you got 54 countries in Africa. Within those 54 countries, you got anywhere from 3 to 6 different dialects. You have these African countries that don't get along with each other, and they haven't been getting along with each other for centuries. This is nothing new. You understand what I'm saying? And everybody wants to say, well, I'm from the motherland. Well, you from the motherland. What country from the motherland you from? It don't matter. I'm from the motherland. So where do you speak? It don't matter. I'm from the motherland. You understand? This is how destroyed we are. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation. Listen, this is a ploy that keeps us in bondage in America. We can't even say, even if you choose in the motherland, you can't even explain where you from the motherland. Now, I don't want to sidetrack too far, right? But think about what every 4 years, what do they bring up? Reparations, right? Bring up reparations every 4 years to bring us back into America's view, right? To keep us being Americans, right? We keep asking for reparations. Eventually, you know what America going to do? Thinking ahead of us, they're gonna say, okay, y'all thinking about reparations. What we're gonna do is we're gonna give Africa $100 trillion, and y'all got to go back to Africa and get your part of the reparations from Africa. But what you got to do is you got to prove that you at least 51% African. So now, when you go take that DNA test in Africa, what do you think gonna happen? Africa gonna say, God damn, you know what? Man, you only 49%. We can't help you. And they're gonna keep stepping up. They're gonna listen, wait a minute. They're gonna let somebody get some money. You understand? To keep you, go ahead, sir.
It's like $5
Yeah. Just like, what's her name? What's the
Second.
oppressor said she was a Indian? They found out she wasn't an Indian. The one that said she was the $5 Indian. You know what I'm talking about.
I'm not sure.
But it was one of them. You know what I mean? They become an Indian so that they can benefit. Then the Indians don't benefit.
Nikki Haley, is that right? Cover something around that?
No, I don't think it was Nikki Haley because I just watched her today on CNN. So I don't. It wasn't her. It was the older one with the little glasses, and you can see she all oppressive. You understand what I'm saying? But they become $5 Indians. This is the reason why they became $5 Indians so that they could benefit off of the benefits that they had given the Indians. You understand? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, they give us the money and then lower the value of the American dollar.
Well, listen. They don't even have to do that. You understand? Because if you have to go back to another country, then you have to prove that you're from there. They can control how much they give you. So your reparations could come up to be $10,000. And then all those other hundreds of trillions of dollars Africa makes out. Because I guarantee you, America would make a deal with Africa. We'll give you this if you give us that, and then if you sucker them. You understand? Think about it. Ghana's letting celebrities come over there and telling them they kings of certain cities and towns, right? Because they coming over there spending a certain amount of money, but you or me or somebody who's an average, so-called African American come over there and they treat us like garbage. You ever see any of those Nigerians over there talking about Black Americans? You understand? Calling us Akata, and all of these other terms that they use for us, they don't care about us. And this is the problem with us now. Go ahead, sir.
Was the lady named Sashim Littlefeather? Is that her name?
Shaseen Littlefeather? No, no. It's a if I tell you the lady's name, I can guarantee you'll know who I'm talking about. But it was a lot of controversy about 2.5 years. And you remember when that happened?
She's in the government slot.
She like a congresswoman or something like that, ain't she? No, that's not the one. That's not the one. She don't even look like that, Cap. She kind of close. She's trying to resemble the what's the name right there, but it's an older lady. It's an older lady. We'll get it. We're gonna get it, but I don't want to get too far off, But these are the ploys that they use, to keep us focused on things that are not important. You understand? Go ahead, read on.
Hey, come on, sir. That the name of Israel may be no more remembered.
Listen, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. We don't even remember who we are. You understand? We don't remember that we're Israel. And when you go and tell brothers and sisters that they Israel, they don't believe it. Even when you break down the scripture,
Elizabeth Warren.
there you go, Elizabeth Warren. There you go. There you
As soon
go.
as I saw that,
Yeah, Elizabeth Warren. Yeah, that's her name. Yeah. You understand? And these people do this to us, and this is what keeps us under the thumb of the oppressor. Not to say that here in the UPK that we not in America, but we know how to maneuver about in America and not really be under the thumb of the oppressor. As long as we stay under the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, we not under America. Now we have to abide by certain, America's laws. You understand? But for the most part, we experience some types of freedom. You understand? Being able to go out there on the
illusions,
illusions of freedom.
comfortability.
Yeah, comfortability. But
under oppression, we have some levels.
we have some comfort,
Levels of help.
right? Different.
See, Google Cut, 2014.
Oh, you talking the new one?
Yeah, when he said they was making them, they changed his programming to where though he thought that he was in control. So it was like they was telling the doctors like what he did was he changed his wiring, so now he has the illusion of free will.
Dang.
That's crazy, right?
Well, think about this. In you saying that, think about integration. You understand? Now, this is an analogy that I always use about integration. If you watch Star Trek, The Next Generation, they had an entity on there called the Borg, right? The Borg made you feel like, if you come over here and be a part of us, then you'll be free. You understand? It's the same thing that America does to us. And this is how America keeps us enslaved. And the Borg would sink you into being a part of the Borg, then take everything of you, take every essence of you. Then you became the Borg. You understand? And then you baited others into being a part of the Borg. You understand? Well, America is the Borg. America baits us in to believe that we are actually a part of this one big melting pot. When we become a part of America, we become America. America has its own agenda. You understand? We feel like we have our own agenda. You understand? But we don't. We have America's agenda. Just like the Borg, America is a what do they call it? A virus. You understand? The Borg was a virus, and Borg went to every planet and they destroyed every planet that they integrated with or that integrated into them. And that's what America is doing to us today. It's destroying us. We have to understand that America is a virus and we have to step away from America. You understand? Says, come, let us cut them off from being a nation. When you integrate into anything, you become that thing you integrate into. Let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. We don't remember who we are. We are American. We are Afro American. We are Negroes. We are wetbacks. We are Spicks. We are everything but what the Most High created us to be. Look at us today. Think about this too, right? If we are not the chosen people, if we are not the chosen people, then why are we the only people suffering? Think about it, right? We are the only people that are enslaved today. We are the only people who are in, what do they call it? What do they call it? Native Indian settlements, reservations. We the only people on reservations. We the only people in cages on the border. You don't have the Ukrainians in cages on the border. Think about this too, right? You got Afghans walking across the border the same way the Mexicans are, but they separate them. You understand? You see how they brought them over on planes, right? They didn't have to go through all this paperwork. They didn't have to be put in cages. They didn't have to, their families were not separated. Why are they separate? Go ahead, sir.
They don't got no long process for housing.
No long process. Hold on, wait a minute. When they got off, when they first left Afghan, they brought some of them over here. They did not have to stand in line. They automatically put them straight into Airbnbs. We'll bring you your paperwork tomorrow. You understand what I'm saying? So wait a minute. It goes deeper than that. Those Ukrainians that's coming over here, they're removing our people from out of their public housing and putting them in it. How? When we've been slaving for over here for close to 500 years. How? You understand what I'm saying? How does that happen? Because we're the true biblical Jews of the Bible. These people know who they're. Listen, wait a minute. What does it say? Come, let's see. It says, for they have consulted together with. Oh, read. Go ahead, read that. I ain't even gonna jump. I'm jumping ahead. I'm jumping ahead.
Verse 5.
Verse 5.
Verse 5. They have consulted together with one consent.
Listen, these nations have consulted together with one consent. These nations understand who we are. We are the only people that don't understand who we are. You understand what I'm saying? We're the only people that don't understand who we are. They have consulted together. Think about it. I always talk to Cap and I always tell Cap, I remember when all of the corner stores when I was growing up was owned by black people. I remember when every stall down Lexington Market was owned by black people. I remember before you came across Martin Luther King Boulevard, you could smell a chicken on the other side at the project, the Lafayette projects on the other side. You could smell a chicken. Me and my sister was so short we couldn't see out the window, but when we smelled that chicken, we know where we was at. You understand what I'm saying? Now, when you go down Lexington Market, all of the stalls are owned by heathens. You go to the corner stores, either the Asians or the Arabs own that. Wait a minute, stop. Ain't America at war with the Asians right now?
Right.
Ain't America at war with Afghan and all of these Muslim nations right now?
Right.
But they got them all in our neighborhoods. Wait a minute. Who is America at war with?
Us.
That's right.
Somebody.
We got to understand propaganda when we see it. And that's the problem with us. We look at all of these other things on TV. We look at what America feeds us, but we don't look at what America's doing. You ever heard somebody tell you, do what I say, don't do what I do? I remember a dude, his name was Big Abe. Big Abe was around the way. Big Abe got high every day. And he used to look at me and he said, Shorty, check this out. Don't do what I do, do what I say. Don't get high. You understand what I'm saying? Well, America says, do what I say, don't do what I do. You understand? And that's what we do. Look at what I'm showing you. Believe this. Don't believe what I'm doing. You understand what I'm saying? We believe the lies of America. Because listen, read that again from the top, that 5.
Come across, sir. They have consulted together with one consent.
Listen, Even though we hate each other, we're gonna come together on this one thing because we all can profit from it. This is how the other nations think. Think about it, right? When is the last time you seen a Chinese or an Asian person uh, say the Pledge of Allegiance? When do you see that? When do you see the Arabs do the Pledge of Allegiance? Listen, to get over here, anybody will do anything. But when do you see them do that? You don't. When do you see them cheering America on? When do you see them out there lighting fireworks and everything else for the 4th of July, Independence Day, New Year's Eve, and all of that type of stuff? They don't do that because they understand that they can be in America, but don't have to be of America. That's where we get caught up at. And that's where the ISUPK comes in at. We can be in America, but we don't have to be of America. You understand? If I'm not mistaken, it's a scripture. I can't. I'm not even going. I'm not going to fight with that. I know it's a script. I can't remember. I lost it.
What is it on?
Being in America but not of America. Being yeah, that's it. There we go. There we go. I know it. I know it. Listen, my mind is working slow today. I'm a little tired. Yeah, that's it. You got it. Can you grab that for me? Oh, before we do that, right? It says, "For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee." Listen, these nations come together to be against us. This is the reason why they are allowed into our neighborhood. Think about this. How can how can how can the Arabs, do what they did at 9/11, and they still bring them in and put them into our neighborhoods? Listen, man, I know you punched me in my eye, right? But we're gonna come together on this. You understand? Go ahead.
So John 15 and verse 19.
Go ahead.
If ye were of the world would love his own.
Right.
But because ye are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hated you.
Right. Listen, the world hates us because we are not of the world. This is the reason why we get that backlash when we go out there and we speaking, especially to our brothers and sisters. We already know we get backlash from the oppressor. But when you telling your people that listen, you are the greatest people to ever walk the face of this earth, people don't want to hear that. You are the true biblical Jew of the Bible. People don't want to hear that because they are of the world. You understand? We can be in this world, but we don't have to be a part of this world. You understand? We get some kind of understanding when we come into the UPK. You understand? At some point in time, all of our eyes were covered. All of us had that veil over our eyes. Once we came across. Listen, Cap, I don't know if you remember that first time I came to that class on Orleans Street. I had the flyer that I got back in the mid '90s. I brought that flyer with me. You understand what I'm saying? Listen, I heard back in the '90s, but I'm guessing it just wasn't my time at that time. Because when I heard the UPK when I watching YouTube, I heard that UPK. As soon as I heard it, clicked just like that, and I was there. You understand what I'm saying? Sometimes that veil sits longer, but Most High, Most High was with me long enough for that veil to be removed. You understand? For me to for the blind to see, for me to get some understanding. You understand? And I'm glad, you know, I found the UPK because it could have been me dead quite a few times or unalive quite a few times on the streets of Baltimore, and it almost happened. You understand? They are confederate against us. You understand? These nations have come against us to keep us in the condition that we in. America has a vast network of nets and snares. You understand? To keep us enslaved. I mean, look at our condition. You understand? We are the think about it, right? We call our neighborhoods what? These are hoods, urban neighborhoods. This is a black neighborhood. How can it be a black neighborhood when you don't own anything in your neighborhood? You understand? We don't own any supermarkets. We barely own a house. And then the thing is you don't even own the land that the house is on. If you own the land that the house is on, why do you have to pay taxes for it every year? Listen, even that right there is a way for them to take what you own. Have you ever seen somebody get a water bill that's 1,000 or $3,000, and they say you got this amount of time to pay this, or we got to take your house? You mean you're gonna take somebody's house over water? You understand what I'm saying? Why can't you just cut the water off and wait for me to pay the bill? But instead, you understand this is this is the reason why our oppressor gotta be stomped out. You understand? But first, we gotta understand the condition that we in. Let's go back. I want to go back.
So
Go ahead.
Psalm 83, sir. Go back to
No,
John.
did we finish that? Right? We finished that, John. I want to go back to the article.
Oh, Slack. I ain't had all.
No, I got the article.
Oh, Slack.
I got the article. All right. It says, listen, the shift towards mass incarceration in our country began with the Reagan administration with the war on drugs in the early 1980s and intensified when the Clinton administration imposed longer sentences and tougher sentencing standards for drug offenders. Think about it, right? Like I said, I remember before crack, I was alive. You understand? I was right on Park Heights and Belvedere. You understand? Between Park Heights, Belvedere, Belen Garrison, Poplar Grove, and Emerson. I was all up and down there before that. Then I remember when the crack first hit, and dudes were saying like, "Yo, what is crack? What is how that work?" You understand what I'm saying? I remember those days. We know how crack worked now, right? You understand? I was like I said, I was there before. I seen how neighborhoods was before. You can't imagine. Think about it, right? I remember in the '70s when our streets was clean, and people would come out the house and say, "Hey, pick that up." You can't do that to kids now. You understand what I'm saying? But if they create a condition, now think about it, right? They created that condition in the early '80s. That condition was already conspired 10, 15 years before. And this is what we talk about by our oppressor. When they think years ahead of time. How can I create a condition to create another condition that I can capitalize off of? So go ahead, sir.
There's another term, it's chemical warfare.
Chemical warfare, exactly. Now think about it, right? Chemical warfare is illegal in war. When you create and you use chemical warfare against another nation, that is illegal in warfare.
Okay, this one, I just watched this movie. I just watched the movie on Netflix. Leave the world behind. It's actually it's kind of on point with what you're saying.
Come,
They turn us against each other.
right,
Like black people think we're the problem.
right. Well, think we got to go some more on that, right? This is the reason why we look at each other and you hear people say, we need more police in our neighborhood because the oppressor created a condition right here. He placed me in a condition right here. When these two things hit ahead, you have an explosion. Now you got me selling drugs in my neighborhood, crack in my neighborhood, destroying my neighborhood. Now you calling for the police to arrest me for a condition that our oppressor created from the beginning. He incarcerated me, destroyed my my record. So that now when I decide I want to go straight and get a job, and I can't get that job. So then I take a menial job that's not paying me enough to take care of my family. So I decide to go out there on the streets and do what I do. It's It's a system created to create a condition to keep us enslaved. You understand? Go ahead.
If I could, so, all right, so basically what they did, they plotted this shit since the 60s. Like, they plotted since the 60s out down for, like, all right, so for civil rights.
It goes further than that. It goes deeper than that.
I'm saying, like, all right, they want to integrate. You want to let them integrate for 15 years. They got a crack storm coming. Yeah, y'all go ahead and integrate. I mean, you got out the way, but watch this. So it's like anytime the oppressor give us something, you know a storm is coming.
Right.
Immediately, it's like,
Anytime the oppressor does anything to make it look like he's helping you, he's really trying to destroy you. You understand? And this is what our oppressor does. Now understand, we said that in the beginning. Emancipation. To be emancipated only means to be moved from private property to state property. When we thought we had our independence, they turned us into state property. How do you become state property?
being incarcerated.
Being incarcerated. So how did they incarcerate us?
Drugs.
After emancipation, how did they incarcerate us?
Oh, the vagrancy, the black codes.
There you go. You understand? They create a condition to keep us right where they want us at. You understand what I'm saying? So they so-called emancipate you. Then they say they create that 13th Amendment that says you are free unless you commit a crime. Now what I have to do is I have to create a condition to help you to do a crime, right? So now if you were a slave at one time and I say, all right, you free, go about your business, but I don't give you a job, I don't give you housing, I don't give you a way to get food, what's going to happen? You either going to come back and be a slave again and say, look, sir, I'll work for you, or you're going to go out and commit a crime. So now I create laws that says, well, if you don't come back and be this slave, and I'm only giving you what's in the oppressor's mind. If he doesn't come back and say he'll slave for me, then I'll create this law that says if I pull up on him on the street and he doesn't have $1 in his pocket, I can arrest him. If he doesn't have an ID, I can arrest him. If it's 3 or more of them on a corner, I can arrest them. Go ahead, sis.
No, I was just saying everything you're saying is so true and like really heavy because once you do arrest you guys, then you get a job.
Right. You understand? So listen, think about it right now. That was created in the 1800s, right? That still applies today. When police pull up, like we said earlier, with the police pull up, what's the first thing they ask you? You got an ID? Because a lot of brothers still walk around with no ID. So now I can detain you. So now when I detain you, I can put you in a cell and, well, we got to find out who you are. Now, Lord, for hopefully you ain't got other charges on you. You understand? Hopefully you don't owe child support. You understand what I'm saying? Because think about it. There we go. Another condition created, child support. Now, I was a victim of that some years back. You understand? Child support. Take your license. What does child support have to do with a license? So now I can't drive because I owe child support. What does one have to do with the other? You understand what I'm saying? And think about this, right? I remember Commanding General Yohana said this, right? Say you can owe $150,000 loan on a house and renege on that, and they just take the house back and boom, that's it. But you can owe $500 on child support, and they can take your license and come and arrest you. Put out a arrest warrant. Remember the brother that got shot in his back down in South Carolina? He jumped out the car and started running. Walter Scott. You understand what I'm saying? Over child support. The laws are so what they call it, draconian, that a child support warrant can make a man jump out his car and run from the police and get shot in the back. You understand what I'm saying? Think about it. We are destroyed as a people because we have no understanding of who we are. Every nation of people on the face of this planet, they understand who we are. We just don't understand who we are. We don't understand the power that we have. Our power is in the Most High Christ. You feel me? Where we at? Here we go. Now, like I was saying, right? That came from, now it says right here from Ronald Reagan to Clinton. But this goes further back than that because it really goes back to the Vietnam War. And if I'm not mistaken, was that Nixon? Nixon, when they was bringing the heroin in the 60s or the 70s. It could have been before Nixon. But they brought the heroin in the 60s and the 70s into our neighborhood. That's what really destroyed. That's where you get all the pimps and everything from the 70s because those brothers went away to the Vietnam War and the sisters was home. Brothers was getting high in Vietnam, so they bring that heroin back. So when them brothers come home from Vietnam, they destroy and their families are tore up. And go ahead.
It's a lot. I mean, wasn't that on Dead Presidents?
Yeah, that was on Dead Presidents. Yeah.
Cooking Power was a pet.
Yep. Yep.
It's a lot.
That was it right there.
It's a lot.
You understand? And that's where all of that, I mean, this stuff goes further back. You understand? It goes further back. But these are plans that they have. Think about this, right? They didn't just think of that when those brothers got over there in Vietnam. This was thought ahead of time. You understand? This was thought way ahead. And then all of a sudden we fall into that trap. And then here we go. Now look at what they're doing with the marijuana now. That K2, you seen what that do to brothers? You understand?
It's a lot.
Right. You see what that's doing to them, right? It's the same thing, destroying brothers right out on the street. And it's so bad now, it's destroying brothers that's incarcerated. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say I got two stories. I got a story with a brother on Penn North. We see every day, hungry every day, sold every day.
Right,
Butterball naked running up Penn North.
right,
Butterball. Been in the jail. You see a brother that don't talk to nobody. This became you, and now he in a cycle.
right. Yep.
So, first time I seen it.
Yeah,
It's a lot.
destroyed. We destroyed as a nation. We don't understand the traps and the snares that are put before us. You understand? We have to get some understanding of who we are. You understand? And when you have a people who don't know who they are, this is what happened. Think about it. All those opium dens and everything like that, the opioid problem, all that opium and all of that stuff comes from Asia. They had the first opium dens. Listen, these drugs, this drug thing is not of us. This is not our custom or culture. This is a custom and culture of the oppressor. We take on things and make things ours when it really is not ours. You understand? And we fall right into the oppressor's traps. You understand?
So if I could, bro, that's why. All right, well, Rick Ross, free with it.
Right,
The government gave him all that credit.
right.
How is he free right now?
Because he worked with the government. You understand? He worked with the
Oh,
government.
still alive.
Yeah. He worked with the government. Listen, I had a brother that we grew up with. He was a little older than us though. It was my buddy. It was his brother. You understand? He just came home from the mid '80s. Is when he went down. He just came home maybe about 6 years ago. You understand what I'm saying? When they was talking about giving out football numbers, we fell into that. You understand? We talking about high score football games. You understand what I'm saying? They got numbers like that. I see, you ever seen a brother that you know never went to church and all of a sudden you see him come home and you like, praise the Lord. You know, that type of thing. That was shocking to me to see that. You understand? And I knew who he was. And he was a hammer around the way. You understand what I'm saying? And when you see like shit happens, You understand?
It's a lot.
All right, let's see here. That Ronald Reagan thing and that Clinton thing, man, and these we like to take on people like, they are for us, just like everybody took on Clinton. He black, he black inside. He get a little joint in the Oval Office and play what's that, saxophone, and we all praising him. You understand what I'm saying? Meanwhile, he destroying us. He making sure we get incarcerated. And his wife called us super predators. You understand? We have to incarcerate them. They're super predators. You understand? Taking 14-year-olds, 13-year-olds, and giving them big numbers. You understand? But when it comes to theirs, oh well, it was a psychological problem. He was having issues. They make all kinds of excuses, and we have to think about these things, right? We have to protect our own. We have to get some kind of understanding and speak to our own. This, like I said, this is the reason why we go out there on those streets and we talk to our people because our people don't know. And listen, and I can tell you, if it wasn't for the UPK, I wouldn't know either. You understand? I was lost. I thought I knew it all. You understand? I was back there talking that blackity black. You understand? Yeah, all we got to do is come together. We can do this and we can do that. How do we do it? I don't know. You know what I mean? But it sounds good when you're talking it. You know what I mean? We had no idea. And we don't get no moral compass until we get here. Right here under Command General Young. You know? We got to get our people back. We got to come back. Listen, it says tougher sentencing laws coupled with a decrease of investment in community rehabilitative services escalated the incarceration rates in America. Think about it. The 1980s witnessed rising crime rates. Think about this, right? When I was coming up in the 80s, we had all the community centers open. We had BNBL, we had all of that type of stuff, things that kept us off the street. Of course, we had dudes that hustled out there, but it was certain times where dudes that hustled came off the street and was in the wrecks and all of that type of stuff like that. It pulled us off the street. And then on top of that, I don't want to say it's a moral compass, but it was a time where dudes didn't hustle on Sunday. Y'all ever seen that? You ever seen that? Dudes didn't hustle on Sunday? And this is what happened in the 80s that destroyed us because it was a time where dudes didn't come on the street and did no hustling on Sunday. If you saw a dude you was beefing with, you didn't beef with him on Sunday. Even if you saw him, y'all look at each other and keep it moving. You understand? I'm not saying that, but this was certain things, and then you could actually see the morality falling, the immorality coming up. You understand? We begin to lose the little bit of morals that we had. Now you see dudes hustling every day of the week, all the way through. It don't matter. Go ahead, would you agree?
Yeah, you ever seen the documentary?
No, I didn't see that.
Mothers and Bulls, Reggie Wingate, and all them.
Right.
So they were saying that the drug dealers actually is the reason why they were playing basketball. They wouldn't let them do nothing else. And they would protect them and they would give their families money and all that.
Right.
To
Listen.
keep them on that right path.
And that's the way. Well, all right. Just like I said,
it's not a moral compass.
A moral compass. It showed.
It's a silver line and it's a lot.
That's what I'm looking for the right thing to say because it was a time where if a drug dealer saw that you had some kind of potential or you was a smart dude or something like that, they wouldn't allow you to come on the corner. They wouldn't allow you to hustle. You wasn't allowed up there. Yo, go to school. That's what you need to do. You understand? The morals are gone. I mean, that little tiny bit of morality is gone now. No matter who you are. Matter of fact, a lot of time, if you didn't want to get in, you get murdered. You understand what I'm saying? So it was like that in the 80s. Nah, sure, you can't do this. You gotta go to school. be somebody. That's what they used to tell us. You understand what I'm saying? I remember one day I got pissed off because that's where I was going. Like, yo, how you give it to that and I'm tougher than him. You understand what I'm saying? No, yo, you can't do this. You go play football. You know what I mean? Man, I was hot because them. I felt like them dudes was weak. Give it to me. I could. You know what I mean? That was more. That was morality. You understand what I'm saying? And the little bit. I ain't saying this. You know what they was doing was right. Of course, we know that, but that's what they used to do. That's true right there. I lived through that era. You understand what I'm saying? I could speak from that. I know that. You understand? Eventually, I went out there and still did my own thing. You understand? But they wasn't letting me do it on their harm. You know what I mean? But right, you know what I mean? So that's the way it is. You understand what I'm saying? And we got to look at where we are. We got to understand who we are. You understand? And as long as we don't understand who we are, we gonna stay in this slavery which we are in. And like I said, when you go out there on the street and you can ask a lot of people, are we still enslaved? People are like, no, we ain't enslaved. Man, we ain't been enslaved since. You understand? I don't know what slavery looked like, and that's a homegrown slave. You understand? You've been enslaved so long that you don't even recognize that you are enslaved. Now think about this. The first slaves that came over here, they recognized we are slaves. Then they had children that knew that they were slaves. Then eventually, if you have enough generations born into slavery, they begin to believe that this is how life is. And that's how we are today. We are so many generations into slavery that we don't even recognize that we are slaves. We think that this is how life is. You understand? So-called blacks, Hispanics, and natives are on the bottom and everybody else is on top. Asians own all the corner stores. That's how life is. I ask some people, have you ever seen black people when they owned all the people? I can't imagine that. I can't imagine black people owning, all the corner stores. You understand? Nobody can understand that. And I remember. I remember going to Butchers. I remember going to Pearline. I remember going to KC. You understand? When all these people, it was nothing but black people. I remember going to mom and pop, real mom and pop, black people, not Chinese people. You call it mom and pop. You understand? I remember that. You know what I'm saying? Ma, give me 15 penny candy. You understand what I'm saying? Give me 100 windmill cookies. You understand what I'm saying? I remember them days. But you got younger generations coming up now. Can't yo? When was that? How long ago was that? Yo, you must be old. You know what I mean? That's how it was. And so that's homegrown slaves. We gotta understand the condition that we in, and we gotta recognize how to come up out of that condition. How do we come up out of that condition? Come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. You understand? This is the thing that brings us back to where we are. Think about it. The children of Israel were enslaved in Egypt, right? And they did what to come up out of it? They cried out to the Most High. You understand? And the Most High delivered them when? Most they, when did they get delivered? The Passover, which is coming up in April, right? At Passover. You understand? They had to be faithful to the Most High. He said, put that lamb's blood on the post and the lintel, right? And everybody who had that on there showed that faith in the Most High. That death angel passed over. You understand? And you heard cries in Egypt that you will soon hear again when Christ returned and begin to destroy our enemies. But the only way that Christ gonna return and destroy our enemies is we come back to these laws, statutes, and commandments. We're gonna remain incarcerated. We're gonna remain slaves. I don't know about y'all, but I don't want to remain a slave. I want to run. I want to run a section of the city. I want my seat where I can say, you know, we. This is what we doing over here. You understand? Under Christ. You understand? I wanna see us in rulership. We see in history where we rule through the dark ages, right? I want those dark ages to come back. I want to be in rulership again. You understand? The only way is that coming back to the Most High. That's the only way we gonna see ourselves on top. Matter of fact, what's that? Let me make sure I got the right one. No, I saw it. First Edges.
The second episode.
No, I want. No, I'm gonna do First Edges.
Got it already.
Let me pull my. I think I must have did something. Oh, here we go. First Edges chapter 8, verse 85.
I got you.
Let me make sure I'm at the right place. I want to go back up to 83.
Okay. First Ezra, chapter 8, verse 83. That the land which he entered into possess as inheritance. It's like that the land which he entered into to possess as inheritance.
Go
It's
ahead.
a land polluted with the pollutions of the strangers of the land.
Listen, this land is polluted with the pollution of the strangers. You understand? Think about what we under right now. And this is the thing that keeps us enslaved right here. These laws of America, these things that we live under, the things that they give us. You understand? What's that? LGBTQ. You understand? It's okay to be gay. You understand? These are the things. This is the reason. This land is polluted. Think about it. Eating all the shrimp, crab, and the lobster. These are the things that keeps us enslaved. Why? Because our moral compass is taken away, and we are not following the law, statutes, and commandments. We're not doing what the Most High told us to do. This is the reason why we remain enslaved. You understand? This land is polluted, but we can live in a polluted land and not be polluted ourselves by following the laws. You understand? We can live in a land that is polluted but not be polluted. Just like we said before, we can live in America but not be of America. You understand? Go ahead.
Of course. It says, and they have filled it with their uncleanness.
And they have filled it with their uncleanness. Look at the things that they doing. You understand? America was built on what? Rape, robbery, and murder. You understand? And then because we become a part of America, we become rape, robbers, and murderers. You understand? And then what does that do? That helps us to fall into the traps of America, the snares, the nets and snares. You understand? Go ahead.
Our kids become reapers, robbers,
And murderers. You understand what I'm saying? Everything that we see America do, we take on those customs and cultures of America. We take on the customs and cultures of other nations, just like we talked about earlier. Opium, getting high, and all of that thing. I got over 500 karate movies, and damn near every karate movie, they sniffing. Right? They don't do that just to. They don't do that just to make that part of the movie. If you see it in one, you say you can see where they do it in damn near every movie. That means that's a part of their custom. That's their culture. Getting high is a part of Asian culture. That's not us. You understand what I'm saying? But we take it on like it is us. And once you become a part of that, then you are polluted as those heathen nations are. You understand? Just like America. You understand? Go ahead.
Verse 85, verse 84. Therefore, now shall ye not join your daughters unto their sons.
Listen, and that's a problem right there. We join our daughters unto their sons. You understand? Destroying our people. You understand? This is the reason why we torn between. Well, America is one big melting pot. Now, every commercial that you see, damn near, you see black women with oppressors. Damn near every commercial. And think about it, right?
They don't do it the other way around.
They don't do it the other way around. You understand what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, when you see that for 5 years, right? You see that for 5 years, then all of a sudden, now you got black women podcasting saying, well, maybe we should be with, because they the ones that know how to take care of their men. It's propaganda. You understand? Go ahead, sir.
It's a psychological tactic.
Right.
They've been doing this for years.
Psychological tactic they've been doing for years. Exactly. You understand what I'm saying? And then if they show you something enough, right? If they show you something enough, it becomes embedded in you. And then all of a sudden it becomes okay. And then all of a sudden, hey, you know what? Ain't nothing wrong with that. And then you see your daughter go out there, and when she come back, well, it ain't nothing wrong with that. It's okay. We one big melting pot.
No, that's why like a lot of movies that play over there, they play overseas too.
Right,
They'll take out a lot of stuff before they can air.
right.
Because they know the psychological damage it can do to their people.
So now,
They'll take the interracial stuff out.
right,
They'll take the homosexuality out. They'll take the so-called woman empowerment out.
Right.
You know, they'll take stuff out of that movie
right.
to protect their own nation.
And now let's go, since Cap touched on that, right? Let's go to China. China outlawed all homosexual movies, Salakia, all LGBTQ movies, alternative lifestyle movies, because they understand what the propaganda is. And they say you can't play that over here, because they know the psychological damage that it will do. Think about it. They got one boy band that they really talk bad about over there in China, but they hot over here in America. You understand what I'm saying? Because they look LGBTQ boys. You understand what I'm saying? We pump that stuff up because we have it, it's been embedded in our minds that it's okay to be, you understand? These are the things that, and like I said, these are the traps and the snares that we fall into. And we fall into these things. This is what keeps us enslaved. You understand? Go ahead, finish that.
Neither shall you take their daughters unto your sons.
And think about it, right? All of those athletes. Think about the athletes that took their daughters unto our sons. You understand what I'm saying? Think about Michael Jordan. He left his wife to be with one. Charles Barkley with one. Shannon Sharp with one. All of the brothers that get that money and then they go to one. You understand what I'm saying? This is a theme, especially in sports. You understand what I'm saying? Did you see the dude? Was that last year, Cap, where the dude from the offensive lineman from Seattle Seahawks smashed the chick face in, and he thought he killed her, and he went off to go eat, and then she came up out of it, and he smashed her and knocked out again. And anybody heard about that? No. I'm talking about afterwards. Did anybody hear about that? But that thing with Ray Rice, how many years did you hear about that? How many times did they make him come on TV and apologize? This dude right here, how many times did they make him apologize?
Not only that, Dana White.
Come on.
There you go. Right. The MMA.
Yeah, CEO of the
MMA, right? Yeah, exactly. How many times did they make him apologize? How much money did they make him do in restitution? Did he lose his job? Did he lose his 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 corporation, his business? No. You understand? Go ahead.
Ball wife is white.
Right,
Three sons, all of them in the NBA, well, two of them in the NBA.
right,
But he told his sons don't go beat no horse.
right,
He ain't tell his sons don't go beat no white women.
right,
He said don't go beat no horse.
right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well,
It's a lot.
like, listen, we destroyed as a people. You understand? It is what it is. And we have the solution right here in the UPK. You understand? Read from me.
Verse 85. Moreover, ye shall never seek to have peace with them.
It says, listen, moreover, we shall never seek to have peace with them. Listen, look at what happened to the Native Indian. Sitting down trying to make peace with them. I talked about that a few weeks ago. The Pumunki peace talks. You understand? They came in and poisoned the wine, and they killed the Powhatan tribe. And the ones who didn't drink, they bludgeoned them to death. This is our oppressor. Never seek to have peace with them. Go ahead.
That ye may be strong
That-
and eat the good things of the land.
That ye may be strong and eat the good things of the land. We give everything away, and we get the scraps. You don't seek to have peace with them, you will be strong and eat the good things of the land. You understand? We're being poisoned to this day. And I mean, look at the foods that we eat. Look at the scraps that they threw us from slavery. Can't eat the good things of the land if you seek to have peace with them. Seeking to have peace with them is falling away from the Most High. We fell away from the Most High. We fell into captivity. We fell into captivity of our enemy. You understand? Go ahead.
And eat the good things of the land, that ye may leave the inheritance of the land unto your children forevermore.
Listen, how can we leave an inheritance to our children if we don't own anything? Look at us. We gave everything away. Integration, we gave everything away in integration. Seeking to have peace. That's what integration is. Seeking to have peace with your enemy. Listen, it is in our enemy's DNA to never have peace with anybody. I mean, think about it, right? Native American Indians had over 177 peace treaties with our enemy, and our enemy broke every one of those. As a matter of fact, I read on CNN, I saw it on CNN, they said they still breaking those peace treaties to this day. Did you see they running pipelines through the land that they pushed them on? They running pipelines through it now, and now they saw that the land that they pushed them on may have oil on it. So now they trying to push them off of that land now. You understand what I'm saying? The Native Americans are living in concentration camps. No heat, no running water. I watched a documentary a few months ago, and they was talking about the Native American Indians, how this one father had to drive 3 hours to go fill up this tank with water to bring back to his family. So think, he had to drive 3 hours there. He had to wait in line and then drive another 3 hours back. We destroyed as a people because we seeking to have peace with these people, a people who have no love for us. Go ahead.
They do the same thing to them that they did to us, as far as they take their leaders and buy them out.
Right.
Rob them. That's why most of the ones that own the casino, they not giving back to the community. Yeah, they might hire you there, you can be on the police force, but you're not reaping none of the benefits of that casino.
Well, think about this, right? They don't even really own those casinos. They don't. They don't own those casinos. They give them some of the money from those casinos. They don't own those casinos. You understand? They make them think, just like we think we're American. You understand? We are destroyed as a people. You understand? And with that, we're the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge, started out of 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding General Yohana. We've been bringing this truth since 1969. And what is that truth? That truth is the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and natives are the true biblical Jews of the Bible, and the oppressor is the devil that the Bible speaks of. And with that, I'm going to pass the class over to Priest and Officer Captain's Party.
Good luck.
You're not going to see it on the full screen. There's something wrong with it, but it is playing though. All right, security announcements. We are ISUPK 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under commanding Johnny Honor. The rules for brothers and sisters: when a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to show themselves to the world after 6 months. If a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6-month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18:21, Malachi 3:8-10. Means tenth in Hebrew, and it's pronounced by Aisharah. 10% of every penny of any increase that the Most High gives you to the Treasury Department or teach the priest from free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Up and coming holy convocations. We got the Passover coming up in April, and what's the next one? Purim.
Correct.
Purim coming up in February, right? So be on the lookout for that. Remind Akim and Aqua to check on social media such as IGBK.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for IGBK events and materials. If a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he needs to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirts, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that, Amayim, we want to give one courtesy salute to the teacher, individual Amayim Shabbat, Amayim, Barak, Yahaba Shem Yahweh Shah Barakatah, Hey, Matah, Saul, which means stern. Sisters Amayim, which means stand. We want to give one courtesy salute to the sister, individual Amayim Shabbat, Amayim, Barak, Yahweh Shemal Akram Ba'Shem Yahweh Shah. Yahweh Matah, class is missed. It's not in the middle.